Happy Wednesday, and thank you for joining another Busy Webinar with Dave Meyer at BizzyWeb, where we also have Sandy Zeiszler of MoxzClicks here today, and we're going to talk about fortune in the follow-up, how to use LinkedIn to master your results and to drive sales. So as a normal Busy Webinar, there are a few things that we'll go through very quickly just to help you get involved and get online. And so as you look at the event today, if you're responding to or if you clicked on the email that registrants did receive, you're going to see this page. You click on this page, and then if you would like to ask questions during the event, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can either watch the video online just in the embedded video, or if you have a Google Plus account and you would like to ask us questions live, simply click under number 1 where I've highlighted the Google Plus link here under number 1. If you click on that Google Plus link, you can open up a new window, and then you will see another window pop up where it says Q&A and live. That's because we're live right now, and of course we're also offering Q&A. And so if you click play on that video, it's going to open up a new window, and then you can sign in and join along. So if you do click on that, over in the lower right-hand corner, there's a green button that says Ask a New Question. When you click that Ask a New Question, you can ask a question here. If you do that, I'll be standing by, and either Sandy or I will be able to answer your questions live during this event. This is intended for your benefit, and this is actually an event that Sandy charges for on occasion. So you'll get a light version of the event today, and you can sign up for a full in-person event with Sandy, and she'll tell you about that later. Sandy, very much welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint and hand things over to Sandy. So without further ado, Sandy Zeiszler of MoxzClicks. Thank you, Sandy. Welcome.
Great, thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with all of you and show you some information about the fortune and the follow-up with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my specialty. I work with corporate executives, I work with sales teams, I work with entrepreneurs, helping them maximize LinkedIn. I've been doing this for about 5 years, and so LinkedIn is what I do daily, and so keep on touch. I am up to date with what LinkedIn is all about. The reason for the fortunes and the follow-up really is about networking. Just want to read a little quote from the co-founder of LinkedIn. Your network is the people who you want to help, and you want to help them, and that's really powerful because it's about helping others and not come back to you in the future for you. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you can maximize your networking, building your connections, and building your relationships with people using LinkedIn. A little bit about my contact information for those that are interested in contacting me. Feel free to reach out. Connect with me on LinkedIn as well. That'd be great. I love connecting with all people around the world. A little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why the fortunes and the follow-up and why it is so important to have a follow-up process, and then how to integrate that with LinkedIn, some tools that I'll share with you. And then I have a little bit, I'm going to touch just a couple of things. I've created a 7-step touchpoint plan that I work with my clients, and I go into a lot more detail with them during their individual training sessions. But I'm just going to touch on a couple of them today and show you a few tips that you can implement immediately today and help yourself build your connections. And then, of course, I have some next steps as well for you to follow. All right, so why is it so important to follow up? Some of the statistics show us that 48% of entrepreneurs or sales teams never follow up with their prospects. Who out there goes out to networking events and collects a bunch of business cards, and you get home and you just really don't know what to do with them? Sitting here in Dave's office, he has a pile of business cards like we all do that now what do you do with them? You've collected them, you've spent time going to the networking events, and then just kind of have a pile of business cards of people that you had made a really, really great 2-minute connection with. So I'm going to talk about some of the importances of that reason for following up and how to separate yourself. And it takes more than just, that first initial contact, because most entrepreneurs or most salespeople stop after the second contact, 25% of them to be exact. But the biggest statistic I like to share is that 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So it takes that time to do that, to build that relationship, that know, like, and trust that we're all familiar with in Marketing 101 and building your business. So it's so important. to do that. And I'll talk a little bit about different ways that you can touch somebody and communicate with them over the course of that 5th to 12th contact. So a little bit about that. So creating some type of a system is always great and is a guaranteed way to grow your business. Even as simple as creating a couple of processes, whether it's a pile of business cards, putting them in envelopes. It's a great way people do that, creating an envelope system for your business cards with notes on the outside. You can create it in Excel, create an Excel spreadsheet. Those are just some really simple ways of doing that, but create your own process and know what works for you. Nothing is perfect for everybody, and there's a lot of different processes out there. There's even, CRM systems you can purchase, different opportunities like that. But I'm going to show you some things specifically within LinkedIn. There's actually a little hidden built-in CRM system that a lot of people aren't aware of. And then why also too, the follow-up with your prospects will help you grow and stand out among your peers. Again, 48% of people don't follow up. So how can you be that one that stands out? I get a lot of people that say, wow, I forgot about you because, and your business card's sitting here, but I keep forgetting to follow up with you. And I really appreciate that you followed up with me consistently over and over and over again. And until they say no, then keep following up. And then that way, by being that person standing amongst your peer, you are literally eliminating your competition because you are the one that's doing the follow-up. I just have a sample of a tracking sheet that I created in Excel. I kind of have their first and last name of the person. And then I have the 7 different types of follow-up that I do. Connect up with the person on LinkedIn, send them a connection request, send them a follow-up message a couple weeks later, follow them up with another connection request or another email, maybe a month or 2 later, and kind of track that process. And you'll start seeing some results if you start tracking it, and then makes more bigger success. All right, so moving on to why LinkedIn is so important to include into your Fortune in the follow-up process. LinkedIn is the #1 preferred site for content. There is so much content on LinkedIn, especially with the new published post system that's available to everybody, including those with a free account. So definitely take a look at the publishing post because it is indexed with LinkedIn and it's free to everybody to use and is visible and indexed automatically within LinkedIn. So take a look at that. Also, LinkedIn is the largest or really the only professional networking site online to date. And that's so important because there's no other place or location to find peers of your peers and as well as potential clients, referral partners, and such. Another reason for the Fortunes and the follow-up plus LinkedIn for lead generation is that 44% of B2B marketers have generated leads via LinkedIn, whereas only 39 have generated leads with Facebook and 30 with Twitter. So, and that number is going to continue to grow, and LinkedIn is going to continue to separate itself from Twitter and Facebook, and of course, all the other social media platforms out there. But that number is going to continue to increase as people more and more use LinkedIn and embrace that that's a great lead generation tool and a way to build relationships. Oops, wrong way. There we go. All right, so the other person, the reason for using LinkedIn is that now that I've connected with somebody on LinkedIn, all of their personal details are all in one place, and I really don't need to keep that business card anymore. I can have them in my database. We all know that technology kind of integrates with our laptops, our cloud-based systems, and we can have that exact same information on our smartphones. So it's really all in one place, and I love having that crossover between the programs. Other ways to using LinkedIn is you're building connections. The more connections you have, the more opportunities you have of getting found on LinkedIn. So the more you have your audience reach, I always suggest to my clients to keep the free account. My clients ask me, should I have the free account or should I pay for the premium account? And I always just say, build your first level connections because that gives you more access to the second level connections. So it builds relationships with people that you have already met and people that you can build relationships for the future. Like I mentioned before, the know, like, and trust factor. So it's building relationships. And it's also building your credibility. By being on LinkedIn, people always check you out versus going to a website. They're going to find out who you are because they want to deal with people, build relationships with people, not logos. So it's so important to have that personal branding out there. All right, so I mentioned the 7-point touch plan, and the first step of those 7 points, or the first 2, is to identify your prospects and collect the business cards. So we've all done that. We all have collected lots of business cards. And the next step is to send a connection request. And so you want to just send them a basic connection request with either your computer. You can do this on your computer. It's easier to do it on a computer-based system, because then you want to make sure you send a customized message. But now LinkedIn has made it really easy for us with their updated app for both the Apple and PC-based version, so Android and Apple. If you go into your phone, you visit the person's profile, and I'll show you that a little bit when we go into LinkedIn a little bit on live on the computer desktop version. But you always want to send a customized connection request instead of the simple message that just says, don't connect with me. I'd like to add you to my network, because it's so important to separate yourself from other people. On your smartphone, when you visit the person's profile, there is either going to be a little square with an up arrow or 3 dots, depending on which version you have. But always that gives you the option to customize your invite. So go ahead and take a look at that. Feel free to visit my profile and test it out, or even go and visit with Dave and test his out, because if you accidentally don't send us a connection request, I won't take it against you. So I always tell people to just go ahead and send me one to try it out. But play around with your different phones and see how it works. So let's just go ahead and take why it matters to send a customized connection request. Nobody likes to see I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. That is the generic default message. And why are you connecting with me? Send me and let me know. Even if it's that we just met earlier today, it's always great people to remind them, because once you've kind of separated, even if you've just met a couple hours later, people are so busy that we forgot, different relationships that are built.
That's actually become something of a misnomer or a big problem for folks that send those out. It's a meme now where people put really terrible photos and they put on the bottom of it, "I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn." It's actually one of the most sarcastic comments you can put in any general internet request. So don't do it if you'd like to be taken seriously. Don't just click the plus button to send. So that's hilarious.
So that's a great way to do that, because it's becoming a big joke that people are just clicking the connect button. And a lot of it really is that people just don't know how to do it, especially on the smartphones. So that's, educate yourself on how to do it. There is a lot, I'm happy to walk you through it in person or on the phone, or there's always lots of YouTube videos on that. So because it's your personal reputation, and first impressions are so important, and you only have one chance to make a really good first impression. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick thing here to walk you through the steps. You always want to go to the person's profile. Of course, I'm already connected with Dave, but go ahead and connect with Dave, find the person's profile, and click on the connect button. And once you've done that, then you get the template to send a customized message. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, the friend is really the only option. If I say I don't know Dave or whoever it might be, LinkedIn isn't going to let you connect with them. But by saying that you're a friend, it allows you to include a personalized message. So this set allows you to say, hey, I don't know you, but this is why I want to connect with you. So if you're out trying to reach out to a potential prospect, it allows you to introduce yourself and why do you want to connect. So I just have a little template here that I like to use and give to my clients. I'm going to give that away today for you guys. Just a real simple, it doesn't have to be a lot. It was a pleasure meeting you today at this specific event. Please connect with me on LinkedIn so we can both expand our networks. So you're reminding them who you are and why you're connecting with them. And then just a little reason to connect on LinkedIn. And you can just, quickly end it. I look forward to connecting with you. And then sign your name. This can either be typed up in Word and copy and paste it. I don't have to retype it each time. Or the newest tool I use is Auto Text Filler with Google. Do you use that, Dave? Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Love Auto Text Filler. Take a look at it. It's on Google. It's a free app. And I just have to type in a little shortened word, and it autofills for me. So it's a great little tool. All right. So the other part of your fortunes in the follow-up is now to identify and categorize your connections. So usually when I'm at a networking event, I'll collect a business card, and maybe 2 of them are really hot prospects, and the other ones, and maybe they weren't really today, today, next week, next month isn't really a great opportunity for me to follow up with them. But maybe 6 months to a year from now, I can do that. And by tagging people in LinkedIn, it allows me to be able to follow up and create a follow-up system built right into LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to live LinkedIn. Let's see if I can make sure I do this correctly. Tab. And Google. Perfect. All right. So then, where is my, all right. So what I'm going to do here is on the live here, I just want to show you what my process is, and using when I connect with somebody that I haven't yet connected with, and the process just to show you live on LinkedIn. So I pulled up Jen. She works here at BizzyWeb. So I just pulled up her profile, and I just realized that I haven't even connected with her. So the first step I do, even before I click on the connection button, is I actually click on this star. And this is a little hidden gem usually within LinkedIn that people are not aware of. And I actually can take notes within LinkedIn on how we met with Dave. So I met Jen through Dave because that's who I'm connected with. If you met him at an event or a specific introduction from somebody, you can take notes on that. Usually I'll say met at this networking event on this date. And it's great to be able to look back in 6 months to a year when you can't remember. I find that clients are like, well, how did we find, where did we connect? And I'll look at this, they're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, well, because I kept notes. It's all been built in with LinkedIn for quite some time. The next feature I do, and I do this even before I connect with people, Jen will not know that I just typed that note about her. She won't know any of this information. It's all for me. The next step then is tagging, because I'm classifying or categorizing Jen as either a potential warm lead, maybe where I met her. If I go off to a conference and I met 50 to 20 to 30, 50 to 100 people, how do you remember that type of stuff for that follow-up process? Because it takes that 6 to 12 months to connect with people and build that relationship. So in this case, Jen is a kind of a client, so I can mark her as a client because maybe she already went to one of my workshops. I can tag her and create a tag that's for potential clients and whatever that is that I want to do. When you have, before you've created any tags, mine have already created lots and lots and lots. So let me see if I can figure this out here on Dave's mouse here. At the very bottom, it will actually say add a new tag. So for those that are new to tagging, just go ahead and create a new tag and think about how you're going to meet people and how you want to kind of categorize them. So prospect, current client, referral partner, maybe I've already classified. Sometimes I'll even connect with other LinkedIn experts, and I'll just kind of tag them as what they are so that I can kind of remember that. All right, so once you've tagged them, I will then send a connection request. Whoops, see if I can figure this mouse here. All right, click connect. And then it gives me that opportunity to send that customized message. So if I can quickly do this. And of course, I don't have my autofill figured out here. Let's connect. Great seeing you today. It doesn't really have to be really in-depth, but just kind of just send them a personalized message because it makes them feel better about receiving a customized message. And you took that time. It took me 2 seconds to type that up. All right, so then that allows me to now do that. Where do I find that tag and how do I find those clients? So what is step 2 to my process? To find and use those tagging processes, I can click on the connection tab on LinkedIn, and that brings me to all of my first level connections, the people that I'm connected to. And down here in the filter by, there is the tag. And then I can click on my clients, and that's where my clients will show up. And so then I can go through this and then remember who I need to follow up with. There's a whole strategy behind this. I work with my clients and we create different tags for different follow-up processes, kind of have the 7-point touch plan, and I move them through the tags. So we'll create a follow-up plan 1 and then a follow-up plan 2. So there's a whole process with this, but I just want to introduce you to the program to show you, take a look at it and explore what you can do with that. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint here. Perfect. All right, so then the next process, oops, back up. The next part of the follow-up plan is then sending a thank you message to those that you've connected. Once somebody sends you a connection request, or if they have accepted your connection request, so I said that it takes, I don't think I actually said that, but it takes 7 to 10 times. So I did say that it takes, the 7 to 10 times to touch somebody before they choose to buy from you versus somebody else. And how can you touch them that many times? So I sent them a connection request, which is the first time. And then when they've accepted the connection request, I send them a thank you for connecting. And then I invite them to, whether it's a in-person coffee or I do a virtual phone call. I can invite them to another networking event if it's something relevant to them. And get to just know them and how we can help each other with their business. But LinkedIn makes that really easy to tell me when somebody's connected. Under your upper right-hand corner, there's the flag, and it says that this person is now a connection. So now I click on his profile and send him a message. I have just some basic templates that I use on the autofill to be able to just, I've already got half of the work done for myself, and it's kind of just a template that I use. So just a great way, thank you for accepting my connection request. Let's meet up for a phone call or a coffee, and let me get to learn more about who you are. And I've closed more sales because I have separated myself from the people that don't do this. And so if you can separate yourself and be that, that 1% of the 1%, then that makes your sales that much better. All right, so other things that you have for the 7-touch plan that we're just going to kind of just briefly touch on is, so you send that relationship building message, and then you also want to engage and participate on LinkedIn. And how do you do that? You want to do follow up with other people's posts, so pay attention to what they are posting on LinkedIn as their status update and engage with them. Comment on their posts. If they posted an article, say, wow, that was a great article. It really, I pulled this information. That was very valuable for me because of this. And then also share it on LinkedIn is a great way to do that and build those relationships and participate. You can also then create your own status update as well. And that helps keep your know, like, and trust factor up. Other things you can do that's part of the Touchpoint plan is, move LinkedIn relationships offline, like I mentioned, to do a virtual coffee, whether it's a phone call. I'd like to just grab a cup of coffee and have a virtual call with somebody, or meet them at a local coffee shop or an office center, wherever it might be. And then also ask for referrals. That person, use their database of their connections and, search through who your ideal client is. And, I asked Dave this morning if he knew anybody that did animation. And I could actually go into his people on his LinkedIn profile and search animation, and I'd be able to find specific people that he could give me a referral to. So that's always ask for the referral. Be specific about that, because I have 2,000 connections, but who is your specific client today? Is it that animation person? That's an ideal client for me today. All right, like I mentioned, there is the tracking. So, create a simple Excel spreadsheet is great. LinkedIn allows you to export all of your contacts all in one, but there is, I love Google. Google Chrome has some really great third-party programs. There's a program called LinkedIn Export Tool. So taking that, the tagging process one step further, I have some sales teams that I'm working with right now that are going to a conference, and part of their follow-up process when they get back from that conference will be to tag them with a note that says that we met them at that conference. And now they can select those people on LinkedIn and export every one of those contacts into an Excel spreadsheet and have that follow-up process done for you. And that Excel spreadsheet is going to have their first name, last name, email address, but it'll just be those maybe 50 to 100 contacts that they met at that conference. And now you can take notes kind of offline to do your follow-up process with them. So it's a really great tool to explore and take a look at. All right, so maybe Dave, do we have any questions at all?
Not yet.
Okay.
So if you do have questions, be sure to answer those or ask those by going on number 1 in the Google Plus link and or on the page that you're watching the event from, and make sure to click the green button to ask those questions. I am monitoring the questions, and we'd love to ask those as we go. One question that I have while we're doing that, since we have a little break, I know that there's an app for grabbing business cards. I think it's Card Munch,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Have you used that before? Is it useful to you? Because I go hot and cold on it because it seems like it takes a little bit of time. And for me, it's just as easy to upload things into my CRM and update them.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Dave. That, you know, the Card Munch program, there's apps for your phones, and one's called Card Munch. I can't remember some of the other ones right now off the top of my head, but there are several different versions. Mm-hmm. The challenge I find with those applications is that business cards come in all different shapes and sizes, mm-hmm. and different types of paper, different content, and it can only read so much of the card. Some people love it. I have people say, wow, it's 100% accurate for me. It does everything I want it to. I've actually tested them out, and I get about maybe 30% accuracy with it. Like the name is scrambled because somebody gave me a glossy card, so it just doesn't read it. I find it just as easy to come to my computer, schedule 15 minutes after a networking event, get home, send out the email, connect up with on LinkedIn. The process is all done. I find that it just is a little bit more work for me almost with those Card Munch programs. Other people find them great. So you really have to just find what works for you.
Cool.
Yeah. Other things while we're waiting for any questions that come in, right now, I don't know if you've all noticed, as a little free tip for you guys today, I'm going to go back to the live LinkedIn program here. You may have noticed the new messaging system. Have you noticed that, Dave, the new messaging system? No. They changed it recently.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and give you a little tour of that because it is really confusing. It can be. Yes, LinkedIn is going to make changes for us. We know that. So what you want to do is to access that in that upper right-hand corner. This is, you know, you always spend time looking at these notifications, but if you click and you'll notice the icon has changed, the one that looks like a little bubble or a conversation bubble. LinkedIn has changed their in-mail or inbox into more of a conversation flow or a messaging system, more mirroring like Facebook's messaging system. So it's really about having a conversation, not an inbox anymore. So it's not an email program. Cool. But so there's some, you know, of course, good things and bad things for that. Well, this loads here a minute. What happened is it actually now creates my messages down the left-hand side. So these are all my conversations that I have currently going on. There is no longer an archive, but there is a delete button. Haven't figured out how quite yet to utilize that because once you delete a message, you can't find it anymore. I wish I could just archive to be able to find stuff. So I'm trying to find a process to be able to keep stuff. So kind of right now I've been kind of keeping it and working with my clients individually on that one. But the biggest trick is, let's go ahead and pull up a message up here and I can show you one of the other nuances that I kind of feel is a kind of a funky thing to get used to. I'm going to send Dave a message here. Dave is a connection of mine. So I'm going to send him a message. Oops, what am I doing here? Dave has this really awesome mouse here that I'm not really used to getting used to. Let's see. It's a little tricky to get used to here. All right, so we'll send Dave a message. So I typed his name. I can send it to multiple people. So I'm just going to use, what am I doing? Okay, so I can type multiple people. In the new program, it's no longer, they're going to see each other's name. So in the old program, I could have it as a blind carbon copy. So I could send out a message to, 30 to 50 people as a inbox message. You can no longer hide people, so they're no longer blind carbon copy. So if you're going to send it to multiple people, they're going to see it. So make sure you're aware of that change. I'm just going to type a message here. Great working with you. But it becomes a conversation. So if I hit the enter key, it's going to automatically just post it in there. There is a pop-up. So the first time you do this, if you enter the key, click the enter key on your keyboard, it'll automatically send a message. So I'm just going to show you this one here and show you how that goes through. So every time I send a new message, let's connect for coffee. So I'm just going to send him a couple messages. So it's a kind of a running flow, like your text messaging would be as a conversation. If you want to be able to write a paragraph of of information without every time you hit the enter key, there is a checkbox down in the right-hand corner that says, if you uncheck it, it says press enter to send. So I actually just like to keep that unchecked. And when I'm ready to send a message, let me just type some words in here, thanks, then I can bring my mouse over to the send. So it becomes a whole paragraph instead of one message after the other. Okay. So it is kind of weird. Yes, you can attach photos. That's always been available. You can do photos or PDF documentation. The last one that I do not like, just because LinkedIn gives us stuff doesn't mean you should use it, is this little smiley face.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah, not appropriate for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really professional. No, don't be sending this unless you really know the person really, really well. Because yeah, they're cute and everything, but it could be really misinterpreted. That's just my opinion. But Dave's initial reaction was, yeah, no. So definitely just think about that before you do use it. Again, just the tools are here, but doesn't mean you have to use them. All right.
Cool. Love it. And I don't see any other questions. So I'll take a couple of seconds just to inject my own. Can you share a little bit more about the blogging tool or the post tool? Because I have a lot of clients that ask us about that. And the other question that I'll add in is, do you see much value in the company pages and in particular the showcase pages, because those are one level down further on LinkedIn? And are there any other kind of killer tips like browsing groups and all that other stuff to kind of troll around? So just take a couple of minutes, and we want to make sure that we round up by about 10 minutes or within the next 10 minutes or so, just to keep everybody short. But
yeah,
that would be awesome.
Sure. So I can talk about the share the update versus the published post. I did mention the published post, that it brings your credibility on LinkedIn. So there are two different types of posting now that you can do with the free account. If you click on the home, it brings you to your navigation window or your news feed of LinkedIn. And right below your picture, then you've got this share and update. That's a quick way to just say something about, hey, I'm live this, 10 minutes. I did a status update a few minutes ago before the webinar, and says I'm on live on the BizzyWeb website, come check it out to learn more about it. It's a quick little sentence or two that you can do for a status update. If you want to do more of like a blogging, like Dave mentioned, it's a great way to do that. And it's called a published post. So they have over on the right-hand side, it says publish a post. So think of it in terms as a blog, because it allows you to have more characters. It allows you to have pictures, which we all know are very important. And then it also likes you to format. So when I clicked on that, I can go ahead and upload a picture. If obviously you want to purchase pictures, you don't want to just be stealing them from the internet, because those are not free. The Google Chrome or Google search images are not free images. Well, I am always on that. People think that they're free, but they are not. And then you write a headline, steps, I can type here, steps to internet. Great, five tips to something. This is a way to do that. And then I can write my post, which is nice then. Tip 1 and tip 2, I can actually create fonts and change it to bold or italics, create a bulleted list, which are great ways to do that. So it allows you to publish and become more of content and value added to your connections. That way people can just stay in LinkedIn. They don't have to leave. But the biggest benefit is that when you publish a post in LinkedIn, it's indexed throughout all 380 million people on LinkedIn, so it's free publishing for everybody. You have the choice of saving it or publishing it. A lot of times I'll just tell my clients to write it in Microsoft Word. You can do proofing and editing, and then copy and paste it into here and do your formatting. The formatting won't cross over. So just go ahead and do the formatting all within LinkedIn. I'm going to save this one, and I'll show you how to find published posts, and so you can see the difference of that. I don't even really need to save it because I'm not going to publish that eventually. But so maybe today I'm looking for maybe video on the web. So that's probably not even, let's just do video. Let's keep it really simple. But on the left-hand side of the search box, this is if you're going to search for other published posts. So like I mentioned, they're all indexed within LinkedIn. So if I'm looking for content or information about video, I click on the left-hand side of the search box and go down to posts. So it'll help me narrow down that search to just posts. And if I click on video and click on the magnifying glass or type video, click on the magnifying glass, I'm going to get articles or published posts that all people on LinkedIn have published about video. So this is an opportunity to be able to see the, different types of, to see articles and to get seen within LinkedIn. So of course, keywords are really important, as Dave knows, with SEO optimization, but it's also really important within LinkedIn because it does its own optimization with your own keywords. So I can go ahead and click on any one of these articles that somebody has written. Let's just kind of pick up something a little bit maybe neutral, publicity rights and video games. Let's just go ahead and click on that. These are all public to everybody. So here's his standard format. He's got an image, and then he's talking about some information. LinkedIn then gives me the choice or opportunity to follow this person. So if I really like what this person, Dan, is saying, I can be a follower of his. I do not have to be a connection of his. And then I also have the opportunity to like his article, and I can also comment, which also brings his visibility up, but also your own, because people will see that comment. LinkedIn then gives you additional options. So once I've read this article, I can also share it with LinkedIn. There's a little icon, of course, that we're used to seeing. Facebook and Twitter, I can share it with my audiences if it's relevant to my clientele. Based off of that article, then LinkedIn gives me suggestions over on the left-hand side for other articles in here. So it's a great way to play along that field with everybody else. So just, play around with it and take a look at it. In your news feed, if I click on home, you'll see the difference between a published post versus just a regular status update. Typically, they will have, it looks just a little bit differently. Let me go back again to my home. So as I go through my news feed here, I will see just different things that are published posts. Typically, if it's has an image, it will be a published post here. So like this will be a published post because it's got an image, unless it's directed outside. Let's take a look here. I think this one probably is nope, that's just a status update that he did. This here would be a published post, so it'll give me the opportunity to do that. This one actually goes off to fortune.com. Other ones, this actually here is on LinkedIn. So here, this is the difference between a published post. So Ryan Holmes published a post, and it's the one way to get published on, what did it say? Sorry, get promoted. No one talks. So that's the difference between that. It actually tells you that it's a published post. Okay. And if I'm following people, then it actually shows up in the flag as well. So I can see when somebody is published. So it's kind of a two-way thing. The other question was about company pages versus having a showcase page. I know that Dave has a company page. Let's go to Dave's company page, BizzyWeb. Having a company page, even if you're just a solopreneur, that's great to have because it allows you to have the logo on your company, on your personal profile. So definitely it's kind of a placeholder similar to your website. The content doesn't have to be different. You can just pull a lot of the same content to your company page on LinkedIn. But the biggest benefit is that the logo recognition on your experience section in your website or on your LinkedIn profile is really huge for visibility. The second question, so yes, should you have one? Yeah, absolutely. Does it have to be a ton of content and information? No, it doesn't. It can just be something similar to what you have on your website. But it does help with your SEO as well, because the more information you have out there.
And there's no way to use the new posting tool on pages yet.
No, the difference between posting on a personal profile versus doing an update on the company page are completely different. I always say if you're talking in the voice of the company, to go ahead and do a recent update, but then ask if you have multiple employees or even yourself to go ahead and share that. So on here, if I want to bring more visibility to my company page or the article that I wrote in the voice of the company, I would click on the share and share that out with my audience on my personal profile, because they are completely different. There is a little bit lower visibility and response to company pages. They're not quite as followed as much as personal profiles. So your personal profile is really your key into your company.
Cool.
And so then do you have a showcase page? Sometimes, yes, you can. If you've got different entities of your company or different products, you might want to have a showcase page. It's just really an extension of your website. So just kind of think about it as having a second section of your website. So in Dave's case, I think he has his social media versus web page design. So over here, he's got showcase pages. So web design, social media, and biz builders. So they're just kind of an extension to your website. And it just brings up more information. More and more people are staying within LinkedIn to learn more about companies. So just give them the content that they want right in LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Well, last chance if you have questions. So please do be sure to launch those in. If you do have those, again, the easiest way to do that is from the blog post or the event page that you were sent a link to. If you just go to that, or if you missed that, or if you're watching this live from YouTube, you can also go to BizzyWeb.com/events and then click on today's event and click in for that question. If you do have a follow-up question, you can also send a message to Dave@BizzyWeb.com, or Sandy, I know you had your contact info at the beginning of the presentation. So maybe we should just click back to that so that people can lock that in. You can go into Sandy, and please do friend Sandy or or connect with Sandy. Send her a LinkedIn request at that address, and visit her at MoxzClicks.com.
Then I also just want to quickly, to wrap it up, invite everybody to a free 30-minute Unlock LinkedIn profile audit and Q&A. If you had something specific that you wanted to ask about your profile, feel free to sign up for that. There's a link on here. Otherwise, in the follow-up email, there'll be a link as well. I'm happy to talk with you and answer any specific questions on how I might help you drive more traffic to your LinkedIn profile. But yeah, absolutely connect with me, and I appreciate the opportunity and the time that we spent today. And thanks, Dave, for hosting this webinar.
Absolutely, and I'll just do one more thing inside of here. I'm going to go back to our event calendar, and next week on the 28th, we're going to be talking about measuring your marketing. So if you want to take everything that you've learned in the past month of going deeper into the social media networks, I'm going to be talking about how to measure it all and how to make sense out of your measurements. So would love to have you there online. Thank you again to Sandy Zeiszler of MoxzClicks. Be sure to click on her website, connect with her on LinkedIn, check out her 30-minute free consultation that she's offered. That's a huge deal if you're just getting started in LinkedIn, or if you think you know what you're doing, because you probably don't unless you're Sandy. So thank you very much for joining us today. And Sandy, again, thank you for all that you're doing.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Talk to you soon. And we'll click back over so I can close the broadcast down. Again, this is Dave Meyer and Sandy. And remember, at BizzyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. Have a great week.